The fascination of flesh. There's something strange about the human body. We live in it every day. We rely on it, but deep down, we know how fragile it is. It can change, break, mutate, betray us, and that knowledge has haunted humanity for thousands of years. Body horror is the art that stares directly into that unease. It takes the human form, the thing we recognize most, and twists it into something grotesque, uncanny, terrifying. As you watch this time-lapse, you're not just seeing a sculpture come to life. You're witnessing a conversation with one of humanity's oldest obsessions, what it means to live in a body, and what it means when that body goes wrong. This fascination isn't new. It goes all the way back to myth. In Greek mythology, bodies were never stable. Medusa's hair of snakes, the chimera stitched from lion, goat, and serpent. Prometheus punished eternally, his liver eaten day after day. In Mesoamerican tradition, the god Sheep Totec wore the flayed skin of sacrificial victims. For the Aztecs, this wasn't horror, it was rebirth. Life renewed through death. And in the Middle Ages, Christian painters filled churches with visions of the damned, twisted, pierced, mutilated bodies in Bosch's hellscapes. The grotesque wasn't entertainment. It was a moral warning. Monks, who copied sacred manuscripts, sometimes doodled in the margins. Little monsters, hybrid figures, distorted humans. Even in sacred spaces, the grotesque found its way in. When the printing press gave us novels, body horror found new voices. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein gave us the stitched corpse, a mirror of science's ambition. Edgar Allan Poe wrote of premature burials, rotting flesh, the terror of decay. H.P. Lovecraft introduced cosmic mutations, forms so alien the human mind could barely describe them. Later, Clive Barker redefined the genre. In Hellraiser, flesh became canvas. Pain and pleasure intertwined. Body horror became erotic, spiritual, and terrifying at once. Lovecraft's influence runs so deep that games like Bloodborne and Dead Space feel like his spiritual heirs. Mutations, parasites, warped anatomies, they're still carrying his torch decades later. Then came cinema, and everything changed. Cronenberg, the king of body horror. In Videodrome, a man's stomach becomes a VCR slot. In The Fly, Jeff Goldblum slowly mutates into an insect. It wasn't just gore, it was tragedy. Watching humanity dissolve. Cronenberg once said, "The body is reality." That's why his films feel so raw. We cannot escape our flesh. Alien gave us the chestburster birth twisted into nightmare. The Thing gave us paranoia in melting, fusing bodies. In Japan, Tetsuo, the Iron Man turned flesh into industrial nightmare. And in The Exorcist, a child's body twisting unnaturally made audiences faint, vomit, flee the theater. For many, it was the first time body horror entered the mainstream. But cinema isn't the only canvas. Many artists have embraced body horror. H.R. Giger fused machines with flesh, birthing the nightmare of Alien. Zdzisław Beksinski painted apocalyptic landscapes of skeletal, twisted forms. Francis Bacon melted faces into screams. Patricia Piccinini sculpts hyperreal hybrids, disturbingly close to human. Today, digital sculptors in Zbrush, Blender, and other digital and traditional tools carry the tradition forward. And platforms like ArtStation or Instagram are museums of the grotesque. When Giger's Alien was first revealed, audiences couldn't even look directly at it. His designs tapped into primal fears: birth, sex, death. Things we fear, but can't look away from. Psychology of the grotesque. Why do we love what disturbs us? Science offers clues. Uncanny valley. Almost human, but not quite. Dolls, mannequins, wax figures our brains scream wrong. Evolutionary reflexes. Deformity or infection signaled danger. Avoidance kept our ancestors alive. Catharsis. Horror lets us rehearse fear in safety. Studies even suggest horror fans cope better with stress. Perhaps, in its strange way, grotesque art is therapy. Pop culture invasion. Look around. Body horror is everywhere. In video games. Resident Evil zombies, Silent Hill's twisted nurses, Dead Space's necromorphs. In manga and anime, Junji Ito's Uzumaki, the Titans of Attack on Titan, the Parasites of Parasite. In comics, Venom and Carnage, mainstream parasitic horror. In fashion, Alexander McQueen sent models down the runway in shocking prosthetics. In music, Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, even Lady Gaga embraced grotesque body imagery. And yes, even memes. Cursed images online are micro-body horror moments served through your phone. The difficulties of body horror. Body horror is fascinating, but also one of the hardest genres to master. It demands a deep knowledge of anatomy, muscles, bones, skin. It requires finding an aesthetic balance. Too much gore feels cheap. Too much abstraction loses impact. It risks rejection. Many viewers, curators, or platforms shy away from the grotesque, and it carries an emotional toll. Spending hours imagining torn flesh, disease, or mutation can be exhausting. But perhaps that's where the value lies. In being difficult, in demanding technique and courage, and in touching nerves no other art form dares to reach. Sculpting body horror is an even greater challenge. Anatomy as foundation. You must master the real body before you can convincingly deform it. Complex textures, pores, folds, scars, torn skin, fused materials, each must feel believable. Balance of realism and surrealism. Too real and it becomes unbearable. Too abstract and it loses weight. Time and endurance. Sculpting grotesque forms means endless hours of refinement, repetition, corrections, emotional strain. Spending so long with distorted flesh can be heavy for the artist. But overcoming these challenges is what gives the work its power. A body horror sculpture isn't just an image, it's presence, it's weight. It's a creature that seems to breathe, ready to step off the pedestal and into our nightmares. Modern masters and the future. Today's masters of body horror include Junji Ito, manga's master of impossible spirals and mutations. Matthew Barney, sculpting surreal transformations. David Altmage, mixing crystals, glitter, and grotesque flesh. And countless digital sculptors pushing boundaries online. But here's the twist. The future of body horror isn't only in art, it's in science, biotech. Gene editing with CRISPR makes mutations a reality. Transhumanism, merging flesh with machine, dream, and nightmare alike. Climate change. Artists imagining future humans mutating to survive hostile worlds. Tomorrow's body horror might not come from a movie. It might come from a laboratory. As this time-lapse comes to an end, remember the long tradition behind these images. From ancient myths to Gothic novels to digital sculpting today, body horror reminds us. Flesh is temporary, identity is fragile, and transformation is inevitable. So the next time you see a monster with too many eyes, or a face melting into something inhuman, don't look away. Remember, this is the art of being human, at its most fragile, at its most terrifying, and at its most honest. This is body horror. Thank you very much for making it to this part of the video. If you want to learn how to sculpt monsters in Zbrush, or learn how to design creatures in different mediums such as illustration, traditional drawing, or digital sculpting, join our Patreon community, where you can get a free membership with access to full tutorials, photo reference sets, interviews, and resources like brushes and base meshes for sculpting. By joining our Patreon, you'll also gain access to our Discord channel, where you can connect with other creature artists and monster enthusiasts. If you enjoyed this talk, don't forget to comment on this video, give it a like, and share it with people who you think might enjoy this kind of content. It would really help me keep creating these videos. See you in the next one. Many thanks to the first members of the Creatura Art Club community in the order they subscribed: Anderson Stib, Miguel Manquilla, Marco Sanabria, Tatiana Pirogovsky, Jason Mauricio, Sebastian P., Alexander Pawlowski, Ibis, Eat Japanese, 1, Camilo.